What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. It's your friendly neighborhood Armenian back with another video. What's with all the hate on the new Supra? I don't understand it. I don't know if you all understand it, but let's talk about it. Cue the intro. The all-new 2020 Toyota Supra was debuted at the Detroit International Auto Show last week. There has been nothing but hate on this car from almost every single auto journalist out there, enthusiast, you name it. Just, oh, they partnered with BMW, there's your first problem right there. The transmission is not a manual transmission, there's another problem right there. It's a smaller wheelbase than the FRS BRZ, so what's going on with that?
A few moments later.
Where's the 2JZ motor? Where's the 2JZ motor? Where's the 2JZ motor? Toyota partnered with BMW, 2020 Toyota Supra, and the all-new 2019 BMW Z4. So basically the same platform as far as the powertrain goes, the same inline-six 3-liter motor, same ZF 8-speed automatic transmission is being shared between both platforms. Now, the Z4 is producing about 385 horsepower, whereas the Supra seems to be a detuned version of the same motor, which is producing 335 horsepower at the crank, and it's producing about 365 pound-feet of torque. Now, those aren't bad numbers, okay, to start off with. People were expecting this car to be the GTR rival, the R35 GTR rival. Just as the Mark IV Supra was the rival with the R34 Skyline. I mean, both had inline sixes, both had turbochargers, and both produced roughly around the same horsepower. And they both had 6-speed manual transmission options, which was perfect, right? That's every auto enthusiast's dreams. When the new Mark V was debuted, there was no manual transmission option available at all. The car comes with a 3-liter inline-six twin-scroll turbocharged motor, and it comes with a ZF automatic 8-speed transmission. So let's talk briefly about the motor. So the motor is producing a decent amount of power, the B58 motor. It produces 335 horsepower and 365 pound-feet of torque in the Toyota Supra. However, in the Z4, it's producing roughly 385 horsepower. I highly doubt there is any significant difference as far as power components or differences between the motors in the Z4 and the Toyota Supra. So I have no doubt that when the Supra arrives here in the States later this summer, with a simple tune, this car will easily be pushing about 400 horsepower at the crank at the very least. Certain sources have already proven out that the car is pushing 335 horsepower to the wheels already, so that basically proves that the car has about 385 to 400 crank horsepower to begin with. And from my experience with my previous Audi S4 is that German manufacturers tend to understate the power performance numbers from the factory as far as what power is being pushed out of the motors themselves. The S4 that I had was listed at 354 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque, but when I was driving it, it easily felt like it was about 400 crank horsepower, no questions asked. That thing was so crazy fast. I mean, that motor was nuts. So this being a BMW German inline-six motor, I have no concerns that it's going to be able to push somewhere around 400 horsepower. It's a closed-deck motor, which is better as far as the longevity if you want to push more boost, higher boost. In a closed-deck motor is more durable, is stronger, it's noted out there. So that's really good news. That means if tuners out there want to push the boost on this block to a certain degree, it should be able to withstand at least 500-600 horsepower maybe, who knows. But at this point in time, the point is nobody knows realistically what the what the capability is of this platform, of this Mark V Supra platform. Tuners haven't had their hands on the actual car, the motor, the transmission, to be able to tinker around with it just yet. So everyone that's jumping the gun and hating on this car already, I think people need to be a little patient. No, it doesn't have a manual transmission. No, it's not a Toyota motor. I mean, if you're going to hate because of that, then fair enough. Don't go and buy the car. It still has the Supra feeling in spirit. So we got to give this car a chance. I mean, let it come out, give it a year or two, see what the tuning capability of it is. If it really is terrible after a couple years, then you can really bash on Toyota for basically making the Supra a flop. The car has been basically talked about and rumored for way too long. People are comparing this with the current NSX. I do agree with that aspect that once the name was trademarked again and it was rumored again that the Supra was coming back, it took way too long between the teasers and the FT1 concept and then what we got now. There was just too much time in between. So I think that's taking part in all the hate and the criticism that's out there today. It was just overhyped for way too long, and the model that we are actually getting, the production model, is nowhere near what we were really expecting as far as the FT1 concept. I think too many people were expecting, and myself included, don't get me wrong, were expecting the FT1 to be the new Supra. And that being said, that thing seemed to be somewhere in the lines of a GTR competitor, which was going to be well around the $100,000 price tag, versus where it's at right now, roughly $50,000 to $56,000, depending on which model you get. I think what Toyota wanted to do was keep roughly the same price tag, given inflation. Similar feeling of the previous Supra when it was out. Roughly the same horsepower, but better as far as the handling, put the power to the ground, a bit more comfort features. Actually, it's got a lot more comfort and convenience features than the previous Supra. The Mark IV Supra was definitely driver-oriented. I mean, you can tell from the cockpit in the center and the center dash, it was all angled towards the driver. It was just, you're there, it's only you, there's no need for passengers. You're here to drive. As far as the interior goes, I think it's beautiful. I think it looks great. Yeah, it's definitely got BMW bits and pieces all over, but what's wrong with that? 8.8-inch tablet in the center works really, really well. I think it's really cool tech. Better than anything Toyota is basically providing at this time, so that's pretty cool. The dial's all in the center area. I think it looks great. Yeah, it's BMW, but it works. You have an awesome partial digital display in the gauge cluster as well, which I think is really cool. They made it different from the Z4, which is pretty cool. I love that huge center tack in the center. I think it's going to be a fun car to drive. So it took bits and pieces from the Mark IV Supra and basically updated it to this current generation. So I am thrilled about the car. I'm excited. I think the car has potential. I think the haters need to stop hating, at least for the time being. Hating on a car just from few details, I think that's premature, to be honest with you. So we got to give this car a chance. We don't know if it's going to flop or if it's going to do great. Will it be a 1,000 horsepower, GTR slayer or a supercar slayer? I don't know. Most likely not. But if this thing can hold out 500, 600, 700 horsepower, a car in that size, that weight, perfect 50-50 weight distribution, rear-wheel drive, I think that will be a powerhouse and it will be a fun car to drive. If you want this car to just take it to the drag strip and have 2,000 horsepower, all right, I guess cool. There are other options out there, but what use is 2,000 horsepower on the street? Let's be real. You're not going to be able to utilize it. Yeah, you can say you have 2,000 horsepower, my car can handle it, but are you going to be able to use it? The car has the ZF 8-speed transmission. My previous B9 Audi S4 had the ZF 8-speed transmission as well. Now, as far as the tuning of the transmission in that car versus what's in the Supra and the Z4, it will most likely be different. But as far as reliability and drivability, the thing was amazing. It was incredibly smooth to drive. So if I wanted to keep the car in automatic and just cruise, it shifted very well, a lot better than a dual clutch. And that's the reason why Audi went with the ZF 8-speed versus their DCT. It was really good and it was smooth and it felt great. It was very satisfying. Each one of the shifts, you downshift, bam, burble, and it was quick and it felt great. You upshift, same thing. No doubt that the 8-speed in the Supra is going to be a great transmission. For now, I'm excited about the motor and the transmission and the platform that the Supra has to offer. So excited that I actually placed an order 10 minutes after the car was debuted, I called up my local Toyota dealer, placed a deposit on a brand new 2020 Toyota Supra. Should be arriving mid to late summer of this year, 2019. Can't wait for the car to come in, because once that thing comes in, I'm definitely going to drive it stock and see how it feels for a little bit, but I am going to be modding the heck out of this car. I'm going to be checking out the potential of this car, tuning it. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. We need more people to like the Supra. Less hate on the Supra, more liking on the Supra. So I really appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Got a lot of awesome content coming. Do a lot of car reviews on this channel and a lot of car-related content on this channel, as well as when the new Toyota Supra arrives, I will be getting that car and making tons of content on that car. I cannot wait to share that with you all. I cannot wait to drive that car and see what it's all about. As always, thanks for watching. See y'all next time. Peace.
Whatever you do, every time I fall before you, if only I knew. Anyway, I fall before